Welcome to episode 808 of the Inspired Stewardship Podcast.
I'm Winston Clemens, motivational speaker and limitation breaker. I challenge you to invest yourself, invest in others, develop your influence, and impact the world using your time, your talent, and your treasures to live out your calling. Having the ability to recognize your limitations are an illusion and develop resilience is key. And one way to be inspired to do that is to listen to this, the Inspired Stewardship podcast with my friend, Scott Mader.
Because the truth is, no matter where you go, there you are. No matter what the job opportunity is, no matter what the business that you're growing is, no matter what church you go to, no matter what group of people you hang out with, wherever you go, there you are. So if you're not growing yourself, then there's no way that you can grow in those environments. Instead, they'll grow and outstrip you eventually. Welcome and thank you for joining us on the Inspired Stewardship Podcast. If you truly desire to become the person who God wants you to be, then you must learn to use your time, your talent, and your treasures for your true calling. In the Inspired Stewardship Podcast, you will learn to invest in yourself, invest in others, and develop your influence so that you can impact the world. In today's episode about developing your influence by stewarding your time, I talk with you about making sure you have time on your schedule to actually learn, how you are actually the lid of your success more than anything else. And I also talk about why, even if you are struggling, you have to find time for this. As we talk about stewarding your time, wouldn't it be great if you could support this podcast and do it without just taking too long? Turns out you can't. All you have to do is use inspiredstewardship.com/Amazon when you're ready to make a purchase via Amazon, and a small commission will come back to support the show just that quick. If you enjoy the show when you are ready to buy from Amazon, just use inspiredstewardship.com/Amazon. You know, as I'm recording this, Texas is battening down the hatches for a winter storm. And one of the things that it has me thinking about is the fact that I think a lot of times we forget about all of the tools and access and information that we have at our fingertips today. You know, the truth is, with your phone or by jumping on the internet real quick on a computer, you can access more information in mere moments than we could have in a public library a decade ago. And it's all there for us to use and to learn and to put into place. But the truth is that most people, if they're on the internet, if they're doing things like that, other than just doing work, they're usually consuming entertainment. You're watching YouTube or other things for entertainment purposes rather than for learning and growing. And the truth is, you have to actually put time on your schedule for learning. You have to make a commitment to it. You have to block time off that isn't for other purposes, but instead is for growing or learning in a particular area. What areas are you most interested in learning and growing in? Where are you struggling the most? And if you have those areas, look at your calendar and see, are you actually spending any time learning or growing or preparing in those areas? And if the answer is no, commit to 30 minutes a week. Just block 30 minutes off on your calendar and use that 30 minutes to learn in that area. Because the truth is that in all things, whether it's business, whether it's development, whether it's your money, whether it's your time, you are the lid of your success more than anything else. You are both the cure and the problem. You are the thing that determines how high you go. Now, again, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that we all start from the same place. I'm not saying that there isn't privilege or opportunities or things that are different for people of different backgrounds, for people of different sexes, for people of different races. That is true. But in all of those situations, you are still the biggest driver for your own success. You are the lid of where you go, and you have to seize a hold of that and take that opportunity. This is why if you're not spending a little bit of time, whether it's reading books, whether it's listening to audiobooks, whether it's joining something that is a system for online learning, whether it's actually preparing and practicing certain skills that you need to develop, whatever it is, if you're not scheduling that time and spending that time doing it, then the truth is your lid, which is you, stays lower. But if you can raise your knowledge and raise your skills, then you automatically raise the lid and have more opportunities for success. And if you're really struggling right now, if you've got an area where you're not doing well, if you're working on your money and you've been doing it for 3 years and you haven't made progress, if you're working on your health and you've been working on it for a decade and you haven't merely made progress, if you're working on maybe losing weight, or maybe there's some skill that you want to develop, like you've been trying to get better at online design, whatever it is, photography, it doesn't matter. If you're struggling in an area or struggling with yourself, then you have to find some time. No, you have to make some time to spend learning and developing and practicing those skills. And you have to do it deliberately. You have to do it intentionally. It's not enough to wish that you could grow in an area. You actually have to take action. This is one of the reasons that coaching or joining a Facebook group or forming a mastermind or getting accountability around you is so helpful, because we do tend to respond well to having accountability partners. We tend to respond well to having people push us. And if you go to that group and you say, I'm committed to working on this, then they're going to ask you, what have you done this week to work on it? How much time have you spent? Where are you struggling? If you're committing to reading a nonfiction book a month, they'll ask you, have you read your book this month? Where are you at? How far along are you? What's your book for next month? Whatever it is, having that external accountability is useful. That's part of the benefit, not the only one, but one of the benefits of coaching in those areas. So if you're struggling with your productivity, then you've got to spend time learning about productivity. That's one of the reasons I have the productivity course that I sell. If you're struggling with your money, that's why I do one-on-one coaching with money. If you're struggling with your mindset and your beliefs, that's why I offer coaching in those areas as well. Because the truth is, we are the lid of our growth. We are the lid of our success. If we don't grow ourselves, because the truth is, no matter where you go, there you are. No matter what the job opportunity is, no matter what the business that you're growing is, no matter what church you go to, no matter what group of people you hang out with, wherever you go, there you are. So if you're not growing yourself, then there's no way that you can grow in those environments. Instead, they'll grow and outstrip you eventually, and you'll be left behind. So I challenge you to do this. Audit your calendar. Take a look at what you've been doing the last 2 or 3 weeks. See how much time is actually dedicated to learning and growing, and see how much of that is learning and growing in an area where you really want to work. And if you haven't got any time in those areas, commit to and block off for this next week 30 minutes to actually work on learning and figure out what is the number one skill that I want to grow in. What's the number one area that I want to learn, and spend that 30 minutes working on that area. Just start with that baby step and see how far it can get you. Thanks for listening. Thanks so much for listening to the Inspired Stewardship podcast. As a subscriber and listener, we challenge you to not just sit back and passively listen, but act on what you've heard and find a way to live your calling. If you like this episode on the stewardship of time, be sure to sign up for our Stewardship of Time Tips series by going to inspiredstewardship.com/time or texting 44222 time tips. And that'll get you our best tips on stewarding your time. Until next time, invest your time, your talent, and your treasures. Develop your influence and impact the world.